All right. Hopefully, y'all can see that on the slide. I'm going to go through this, just my talking points. So this is going to be pretty casual since we just have a couple of you on here, and I'm just going to kind of go through kind of what Roundup is, what the different opportunities are with Roundup, how you can get involved. So as I'm going, if you have any questions, stop and ask me as we go, because like I said, it's going to be pretty informal. So what is County Roundup? So for Johnson County, County Roundup is going to include educational presentations, public speaking, and share the fun. This year, we are also going to add in our fashion show. It's going to be right at the very beginning of it, just kind of because we've got it all on the same night. We figure we could combine them. So if you are doing fashion show, it will be that same night, same location. And then we are also going to have all of our photographies on display that night with the results. So most people will get those results ahead of time on photography. Those entries are due this week for photography, and we'll get them judged over the next few weeks. But just so people can see the photography stuff, we're going to have it on display for everybody. So maybe it'll encourage more people to get involved in photography contests. But sorry. As far as County Roundup, when I talk about County Roundup, these are the three contests that I'm talking about. So we're just going to kind of go through those three. So educational presentations, they are a demonstration of knowledge and skills that are really focused on a certain project area, and it's educational and informative. They can be done individually, or somebody can team up with someone else, and it can be a team of up to 2 people. So they do have to be in the same age division. We'll talk about divisions later, but if they aren't super comfortable doing one by themselves, sometimes having that extra team member helps kind of ease them into public speaking. Those educational presentations can be up to 12 minutes, and visual aids are allowed. And these are the things that kind of differentiate it from the public speaking contest. So visual aids are going to be any kind of props that you want to use. So examples of props might be tools that you would use, like if you were doing a presentation on how to give a shot, you might have your syringes and maybe an example of something that you can inject it into, and you're actually showing someone how to do something, you're demonstrating it. Kind of the old term in 4-H terms was a method demonstration. So that kind of explains what it means. You're demonstrating a method, how to do something. So any kind of props really though, that go along with your presentation can be used. And then you can also, optional, you can have some type of media presentation, like a PowerPoint, or you can have posters. So posters is kind of the old school way to go, but could work really well for like our Clover kids and our juniors, because, or even just a single poster. I will say, if you are going to use posters, make sure that you practice transitioning posters from but again, that's kind of the old way of doing things. Most people are a little bit more comfortable using a computer and projector and using PowerPoint or something similar to that. At county, district, and state, there will be a projector and a screen and a computer that are provided. So you do not have to provide your own equipment. If you do some type of presentation, you would just need to bring it on a jump drive to be able to plug into that computer. And then a lot of times they also do not include a pointer. So if you want to use a pointer, you would need to bring it on. So,
Kristen?
Yeah.
Could you use multiple visual aids, like a PowerPoint and some other type of like physical visual aid, or are you just limited to one?
Absolutely. Sarah, I know you're into entomology. So if you were going to talk about a certain type of insect or wanted to show, something like your bug collection or something like that, but you've also got a presentation going on behind you, that is perfectly acceptable. And so it can be any combination of any of that stuff. That's a really good question.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. All right, I will go on to the next one. So educational presentations are divided into categories. And we'll kind of go through what some of those categories are, just so we've got a general idea. So ag technology and farm safety is, it kind of is going to be anything technology related. So like drones, any kind of, like we had one on 3D printing for ag equipment, anything that's farm safety related. So just think through that. Animal science is going to be anything animal related, except for beef and horse. So if it falls into like sheep, goats, or like even rabbits or poultry or pigs, any of that stuff that's kind of livestock related is going to go into animal science, and it can be anything related to any of those things. So could be real specific like nutrition, or it could be breeds of whatever animal you have, or we've had how to be a rabbit breeder judge, or really anything that pertains to any one of those species. Now we have enough people that do beef and horse that those are pulled out as separate categories. So beef would be anything beef related, and that could include the actual animal or anything doing with the animal, or it could do with the beef, the meat. So now if you get into things that are more like that include other types of meat, when you talk meat science, that's going to fall into a different category. But if it's strictly beef related, either the live animal or the carcass, then that will go into the beef category. Health and wellness is going to be anything that has to do with diseases, disease prevention, healthy eating for disease prevention and stuff like that. If has to do with just straight up cooking or anything like that, it's going to fall into that open FCH. And so there's kind of a fine line on things that what falls into these open categories versus what falls into a specific category. If you have any questions on that, feel free to reach out to me or Justin or Keely. We can do that. So horse is going to be anything horse related. Open A&R is anything ag and natural resources. So of course that could include, like I said, like the meat science, livestock judging could potentially go in there. But it's also going to include all your natural resources stuff. So your wildlife, your shooting sports, fishing, water related stuff can all go in there. Open FCH could include your clothing and textiles, anything consumer related, food and nutrition related. Open other is going to just be a catch-all category that's going to include anything that doesn't fall into something else. I would definitely check with me to see if it, unless it's kind of obvious that it doesn't go somewhere else, if you're kind of borderline, check on it. Promote 4-H is promoting 4-H projects. It can be promoting 4-H as a whole, or it can be a specific project, but it really focuses on how to promote those things. Safety and injury prevention is any kind of safety, something that's not farm safety, because farm safety is up at the top. So safety and injury prevention could be sun safety, it could be boating safety, it could be driving safety or car seats, child car seats, anything that has to do with driving, teen texting and driving. The list goes on and on for that one. So, they've got this down to not very many categories anymore. So there's not one that really just stands out as, oh, that's an easy category to get in there and just win the whole thing. So if you're really about competition, I don't think it matters anymore. But what I have done is for sign up for these contests, you can see who all has signed up for different categories with the link that I sent out. So you can see who you're going to be up against for county if you may want to change something up for competitive purposes. So if you know that nobody's in a category, you can sign up for that one, and you might get just an easy ride to district at least. Educational presentation judging. I would highly suggest looking at the score sheet before you finalize your presentation. See if you are covering everything that's included on the score sheet. And that score sheet goes into detail on what each of these things on this slide mean, but this is kind of how it's broken up. So your subject matter and how well you know that subject, if it's based on good sound information. And then your presentation would be actually how you're presenting it, the organization, how you use your props or teaching aids, how well it's put together. So, and then your stage presence is going to be, you know, your appearance, your voice, poise, grammar, how well you talk, basically. So that, like I said, there is a score sheet that has a description of each one of those things a little bit more in detail than I could put in this presentation, but be sure to look at that. So how do you build a presentation? If you're going to do an educational presentation, you start by selecting your topic or your category. You could even start with category, then topic. But do something that you're interested in. If a kid is not interested in it, they're not going to want to talk about it. They're not going to be able to answer questions on it. So definitely pick something that you're interested in. We have had stuff that has been presented on everything from dinosaurs to wolves to livestock projects to shooting sports and everything in between. So there is no category that's off limits unless it's just not kid appropriate. So I really think anything a kid is interested in, there's a place to put it in one of those categories. It is important when you're doing that research that it is scientifically based. Just be aware of that whenever you're finding your sources. Then decide on your method. Are you going to teach somebody using those visual aids, or are you going to use a presentation? How are you going to do it? Prepare your outline and then write the speech. And after you've got it written, have fun. Now I have this picture of this dog over here because this is kind of when you go talk about prepare your outline, kind of gives you a visual of how that should kind of shake out. So that number one, the head is about 10 to 15%. That's going to be your introduction of your speech. The body of that animal is the body of your speech. That's going to be about 75% of your speech is going to be just the nuts and bolts of it. And then the fun part right at the end is the tail. That's going to be another 10% of your speech, just something to wrap it up. Okay, so now I'm going to move into public speaking. And lots of people get confused between educational presentations and public speaking. So I really want to make sure you understand the differences. So educational presentation is visual aids, it's educational, it's an informative speech, and the time limit is much longer, and it's divided into categories. So public speaking, doesn't matter what the category is, what the topic of the speech is, it's all public speaking. It is a platform type speech that is persuasive, and it really is going to be tied to current events and issues. Then it is only for individuals, so you cannot team up with anybody, and it is a very short speech, so 5 to 8 minutes, and those time limits are very strict on that. You lose lots of points if you go under or over. So if you are doing that, make sure you practice and stay within those time limits. There's no visual aids or props. It's just you up there giving the speech. So it's all about the speaking skills and your ability to talk about your topic. And again, there's no categories on that one. So as far as public speaking, what is it judged on? again, take a look at that score sheet. It's divided very differently than the educational presentation because you don't have the presentation part of it. You don't have the demonstrate, you're not demonstrating anything. So we're really focusing on two things here. We're talking about the way you deliver that speech. So your delivery, the expressions on your face, your body movements and mannerisms, and then how well you can answer questions on the fly, because they will ask questions at the end. Now, side note, back on the educational presentations, they will ask questions at the end of those too, or they have the opportunity to ask questions. The other thing public speaking is judged on is the composition and organization. So the actual meat of that speech. And you can see it's divided into those three things: the introduction, the body, and the summary. But it's really like how it's written, the information that you're sharing. Is it factual stuff? Is it science-based? Or, does it really get to the point? So that's kind of how that's judged, very differently than the educational presentations. So building that presentation you're going to go through the same process. You're going to select your topic, something that you're interested in, a hot topic that maybe you're into, do some research on it. We're not going to decide on a method because there's no visual aids in this. So we're not doing anything but standing up there and talking. So scratch that. You're going to prepare that outline, you're going to write the speech, and then you're going to practice. So are there any questions on the public speaking contest? Okay, so I'm going to move on to share the fun now. Share the Fun is our contests that are related to the theater and performing arts project. And so that is going to be kind of, for lack of a better term, this is our talent contest. It can be done individually or with a team of up to 9 people. So we can have a lot bigger group. And there are certain categories that lend themselves to having bigger groups. And we'll talk about that as we kind of go through the categories. So the time limits on this are pretty strict as well. You have 6 minutes to do the actual presentation or act. And then you have up to 4 minutes combined for setup, breakdown, and sound check. And some of the sound check could potentially be done before the contest starts, but especially that setup and breakdown, if you have any props, it's probably important to practice that with your kids because it's all got to be done by the kids. Parents really don't help with that setup and breakdown. Props can be used. They can be large props for the things that are done on the stage, like your Celebrate 4-H and your variety show type stuff, or they could just be small things that you use. Of course, your instruments in some of those categories are also going to be important. It is important to know that there's no accompanist allowed in any of the categories. So like on the musical ones, especially. These are divided into 7 categories. So Celebrate 4-H is going to be, and I believe I printed this out. Let me see if I can find that for us so I can tell y'all how that breaks down. So Celebrate 4-H is, it's kind of based on a 4-H storyline. It's more of an act or a play or kind of theatrical type thing. So it could be kind of focused on some kind of storyline, promoting 4-H, community service, a project or a specific activity, or it could even be focused on some type of youth issue. But it really has to be 4-H themed to fit into that category. This is the one where we have a lot bigger props because it's really just a stage presentation. So choreographed routine, it is no speaking to form a skit or storyline. So it's really going to be it's going to be things like dancing, any type of dance. It could be basketball dribbling, jump rope teams, palm squads, any kind of gymnastics or twirling. So there is no signing, no singing or anything like that. Any of that would go into the vocal category. The next one is variety show. On the variety show, this is actually a new one. It took the place of a different one. So that used to be called dramedy. So a variety show is gonna include any type of variety acts. So sketch comedy, magic, acrobatics, juggling, ventriloquism, basically any kind of act that doesn't fit into one of the other categories. The next one is going to be musical instrumental. This one is exactly what it says. We are not going to incorporate any kind of skit or poetry or prose or choreography or anything like that. Is strictly instrumental. The next one is poetry and prose. Poetry and prose is the reciting of any kind of poetry or prose story. And these can get pretty creative. They can include costumes, props, things like that. So that one can kind of go multiple directions. It does have a definition of what poetry and prose are. So if you're not sure if what you have fits into that versus maybe variety show or celebrate 4-H, which the 4-H one has to be 4-H related. If you're not sure, read those definitions. The next one is going to be solo band performance. So this is anything that's going to be a combination of vocal and instrumental. So it can just be a single person that's maybe playing a guitar and singing at the same time, all the way up to a whole band that is combining those things. And then the last one is going to be vocal. So this one is only vocal, but they can include an accompaniment CD or some type of music. It doesn't have to be a CD. It can be iPod, MP3 player, whatever you got. So they cannot, it can be a cappella, but you cannot have another person helping you. So it has to be something pre-recorded as an accompaniment. So I hope that makes sense. And then of course, no lip syncing or anything like that. It has to have some actual vocal talent. So are there any questions on those categories? There's full descriptions in the share the phone information. I can send that out if somebody's really interested in those. I've got a link and I can send this information out, but I think this is also in the email that I sent. This is the share the fun information. Each category has a separate score sheet based on what they're judging for. So I'm not going to really go into detail on each one of those, but they really just generically, they're going to focus on kind of the content of the act and then the ability of those kids to do whatever they're doing. So it is divided very specifically for each one of those. If you're interested in those, make sure you look them up or ask me and I can send you the specific one. So I'm going to move on. Is there any more questions about or any other questions about share the fun or any other ones?
I don't think so.
Okay, cool. Age divisions, very straightforward. They're the age divisions for every contest in 4-H. We've got Clover kids. They can compete at the county level, kindergarten through 2nd, juniors are 3rd through 5th, intermediates are 6th through 8th, and seniors are 9th through 12th. Now, on this, I want to say that Clover kids cannot move up into any category to help create a team. They have to stay in the Clover kid category. Juniors are allowed to move up into the intermediate category. So if you've got an intermediate that needs a team member for something and you've got a junior that can move up, that is totally acceptable. Intermediates and juniors are not allowed, no one is allowed to move into the senior category. And then no one is able to move down a category. You can only those juniors are allowed to move up into intermediate. So that may help you be able to make a team with that intermediate age division. The reason nobody can move into the seniors is just because of the way we advance from county to district to state. So, and I'll talk a little bit about the advancement in a second too. So this is really important. If you want to do more than one of the things that we've talked about, this is how this breaks down. So because of the way state Roundup is run, you are only allowed to participate in one contest per day at state Roundup. Now that is seniors only. State Roundup is seniors only. But because that's the rule at state Roundup, it kind of trickles down to district and county. So we have to follow that too. So these categories are different days. These columns listed on this table are different days at state 4-H Roundup. So you can participate in one of the things in column A and one of the things in column B, but you can't do more than one in a single column because those will be the same day. So for example, you could do public speaking and vocal, but you could not do public speaking and solo band performance. So if you do think you want to do educational, or you do want to do share the fun and a speaking event, make sure that you pick out one of the share the fun events in column A. You can only participate in one speaking event because all the speaking events are the same day at state Roundup. Are there any questions on that? So next I'm going to talk about qualifying for district. So we're talking about county Roundup right now. Clover kids do not advance to the district contest. They are county only across the board. All of the other age divisions can advance to the district contest depending on what you're competing in. So public speaking, the top 3 placings per age division are going to advance. Educational presentation, the top 3 placings per age division in each category are going to advance. And then share the fun, only the top 2 placings in each age division per category are going to advance to district. So, you know, there's a lot of opportunity for our kids to go from the county level to the district level, especially in the educational presentations where we have all of those different categories. It's a little harder in public speaking because you can only advance 3 kids per age division. There's not different categories. So if you have questions on that, please let me know. All right, that kind of wraps up just the informational that we're going to have. There's a couple of things. I should have put this on the slide, but there's a couple of things I wanted to tell you guys that are competing or that are thinking about competing. We have 2 volunteers in our county that help with the public speaking contest or public speaking project, and will help with, and when I say public speaking project, I'm talking about all of the speaking events. Both Gwen Welty and Kara Ellison will help you with those things. They would be more than happy to listen to your speeches, help you tweak speeches to make them better than maybe you thought they could be. Both of them are going to do their little meetups on Mondays in March. I think Miss Kara is going to start hers actually this Thursday. And then she will be meeting on Mondays after that. And then Miss Gwen is going to start hers this coming Monday. Hers will be at 6 o'clock here at the extension office on Monday. What day would that be? That would be Monday the 7th. So she's planning on doing one Monday the 7th at 6. And then Monday the 14th, she's going to do a Zoom. So it'll be a virtual. And then Monday the 21st, we'll be back in our office at 6 o'clock. And I believe Kara is doing the same thing, but hers will be in Burleson, the location for her. So if you're interested in doing one of those, I can send that information to you. Those are not like the same thing every night. They are going to build on each other. So if you start the one on Monday, the 7th, it's going to be kind of an introduction, pick your topic, start writing your speech. And then the 14th is going to be, let's work on your speech and make it better. The 21st would be more practicing, continue to work on that speech. So, and that's going to roll into our county contest. The county contest will be April 4th. And it'll be like, we'll do registration at 5:30, start the contest at 6. So, and then the district contest will be, I believe, I don't have that right in front of me. It's later on in April. It's a Saturday, I believe, maybe the 30th of April. So, and it'll be in West, Texas. So, what questions do you guys have?
I had a question and then I forgot it.
Oh no, you should have just buttoned.
I know.
Was it advancing the district? That was the last thing we talked about.
I don't know. I got to look at those dates because we have the Simmental State Show or whatever in April. So I just have to make sure it's not going to conflict.
Yeah.
With anything.
So the location for county is at the Claiborne Conference Center.
Yes.
All right. And then will district be like on Zoom like it has been for a little bit, or will it be in
person? It'll be in person this year at West High School.
Okay.
I can't remember, Kristen, but I'll text you or call you tomorrow or send you an email if I remember what I was going to ask.
Perfectly fine. And really, any questions y'all have on finding resources for writing speeches, or the questions I get the most are what we want to talk about. Where does it fall into the categories on the education presentation? So if you plan on doing that and you want to run that stuff by me, just feel free to get in touch. We can go.
Oh, I remember. When was the deadline to sign up?
That's a great question. I don't know if I have. No.
Because I was trying to find it in that email and I might have just overlooked it.
I do not have it.
That's okay.
March 25th.
Okay.
So it's either the 25th or the 28th. Without me.
So it's a while. It's a while.
Yes, yeah, I just really like right before Roundup. Like that's like a week and a half before Roundup. So
okay.
As long as I kind of know ahead of time and know how many, really what I need for is a buying awards and getting judges. So kind of split teams.
Right. Okay. Are there just the 3 of us on the call?
Yeah, I think so, but I've recorded it. So in fact, I'm going to stop the recording right now.
Okay, because I was just going to ask one more question. If there is a conflict and Harley is not able to participate because we're going to be committed to something else, because if we can compete at county, but couldn't at district, then I don't want her to take someone's spot that could go on. But keep in mind, I may have her still do it and just lose her spot.
That's fine. So there's a couple of things on that. If she wants to do county and can't do district, that's perfectly fine. We will bump kids up.
Okay.
If she wins first place and goes to district but can't go to district, we will move anybody behind. Send as many kids as we can to district.
Right.
On the district contest, there's a rule in there that if you're the only one competing in a contest, that you do not actually have to show up for the contest. So if for some reason she was a single entry, she wouldn't actually have to go. But the chances of that happening are extremely slim. Because
I would say pretty slim to none.
Down these categories so tight that there's kids in every single one of them in every age division.
Well, I think this year she's going to do an informational one versus the public speaking. And I think she's probably going to do promoting 4-H and do it like on her livestock ambassador stuff.
Awesome. That's a good idea.
That's what I think. That's what I think she's gearing towards this year.
Yeah. Very good.
So
Your name popped up right at the end, so I didn't know you were on.
Well, yeah, I don't know why it had like my my internet or something instead, and I was like, what in the world?
Yeah. All right. What other questions do y'all have? Anything? I've stopped the recording, so nobody will hear these.
Now for the